Welcome back to BWO Daily, your source for news in the world of professional wrestling and sports entertainment from your boys at Busted Wide Open. My name is Nick Howell.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. And today, Nick, we got to talk about a big debut that happened last night on AEW. If you didn't see it, then you didn't see what happened. But the tag team formerly known as The Revival showed up after a long time of speculation and wondering and hoping that these guys would end up in some sort of feud with the Young Bucks. They finally showed up on AEW shortly after being granted their release from WWE, which happened a few weeks ago. That's right, now known as FTR, by the way, because they are they're under a bit of some legal problems with WWE around the use of the name they wanted to use, which was the Revolt. But they got a cease and desist on that and a few other things. But so now they're just calling themselves FTR, which they said could mean everything from fear the revolt to F the rest, all kinds of things. But they're finally there on AEW, Nick. So after all this time of like subtle little underhanded jabs on Twitter between the Bucks and the Revival, or now FTR, they're finally there. From your opinion, what does this mean now? Is this on the level of something which happened pretty close to this back in the day? That's Scott Hall defecting to WCW. Is this on the level of that in terms of a defection from WWE to their main competitor?
That's a really good question. The thing that was really coming top of mind for me was this felt eerily. It was getting to the point of feeling eerily similar to us sitting around and waiting on whether or not we were going to get broken Matt Hardy after he came back.
Yeah, how broken was he going to be? And then
how was he going to be able to use it? He was also going through the legal stuff at the time, and trademark disputes and all of that stuff with Anthem, correct. So that's what this was, on the verge of people not caring anymore, similar to how it worked out with Matt. So luckily they got here in time. I love that they're in leather jackets rolling up in an old muscle truck. I did notice that they didn't call their finisher the Shatter Machine, and I'm wondering if that is yet another thing that's under trademark dispute.
I'm sure it is.
They're here. We know that the Revival are now going to be in AEW, going up against the Young Bucks, what I think are two of the best tag teams in the world currently.
Yeah, we've kind of been salivating for this for years now, and they just kind of never really got a fair shake once they got to the main roster in WWE. And whether or not, I mean, it was even mocked on being the Elite, but those ridiculous outfits that it was alleged that they were pitched to wear on their way out the door, and possibly was the final straw. Right. If that is true, that they were actually told, hey, what do you think about this gimmick? That I can't think of any more egregious reason to leave the company than being shoveled that kind of horse crap to have to try to get over. Or you could just go be serious and be actual, wrestlers, tag team wrestlers somewhere else, somewhere that, has openly stated they want to have the best tag team division out there. Well, I can think of no finer place for them to go. So yeah, it just seemed logical. It just seemed like it was a matter of time. As I said, they've been teasing it on being the Elite for a few weeks now. So it just seemed right. And now it looks like going forward, we're going to enjoy them over there. The question is WWE going to see this as, hey, this is the reason why we were buying up all of this independent talent. This is why we were keeping our people here on such tight lockdown in terms of contracts, is because it would just be so easy for them to go over there if the desire was there by AEW to want to pick them up, like you have here now with FTR. Right. But the question remains to be seen, is that, when the Outsiders went to WCW, it was a pretty big deal, but it didn't really become a major issue until Hogan joined them and they formed the NWO and became the ratings powerhouse that they ended up becoming. So I think the jury's still out on whether or not this is going to be a big deal. I don't think it's going to, I'm not trying to say that it's going to hurt the WWE's pocketbook at all, because Lord knows that is insanely deep. But, as we have seen in the past, they don't like losing any of their toys, and they don't like seeing their competition playing with any of their toys. So I can only imagine that this is being frowned on in the WWE offices, and they're not too happy about it. So, Speaking of Matt Hardy, he's also shooting on the WWE now that he's over in AEW. He said on Twitter, "We were insanely hot coming into WrestleMania 33, but our usage was squandered. I am grateful for the return and time there, but it could have been so much better. You can keep an act hot and a moneymaker without it being a forced focal point of the show. AEW grants me this." So, yeah, I don't think that, I mean, this is not like Matt Hardy shoots hard, but it's definitely, that is a very serious critique of WWE and how they handle their acts, that he's leveling at them. And it's one that they've been hit with a lot over the years and over the decades, is they don't seem to know what to do with a hot act when they get it. And we can think of many instances of this where an act comes in super hot, or they get it super hot, and then they don't know what to do with it.
Just the last couple of years, you could name several, that have come out and have ended up on Jericho's podcast or some other podcast telling everybody how it, what it's really like. And we've seen several cases, 3 that I can think of off the top of my head, just in the last 12 months.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I mean, one of the most egregious ones I can think of, is remembering how hot Shinsuke Nakamura was coming in to the main roster. And, people who are like, well, he did it to himself. Yeah, but look at him in NXT. They were able to keep him hot that entire time, and then once he got to the main roster, things fell apart. And that's a discussion for another time. But it's still, there's no reason why it should have fallen off that quickly. So, and again,
I know. Let's turn him heel and give him a rap song instead of the thing that the whole crowd chants to.
Yeah, we could really go in a deep dive of what all happened there that just screwed that up. But the bottom line was, when you're dealt a good hand, why are you laying it down, or why are you trying to pull more cards from the deck and screw it and change it? So again, Matt Hardy's critique is, I think, well founded. But yeah, and looking at how he's taken the character now in AEW, you see like kind of what could have been, and it's an interesting thing that we don't often get. What would have happened if they had given him creative freedom? If they'd said, "Okay, do whatever you want," we get this kind of stuff we're already getting now in AEW. So it's interesting to see it play out, where we get to see both sides of the coin. On this. So that's pretty interesting. Also interesting, over on Backstage, Seth Rollins was interviewed, and he had something that kind of perked my ears up, Nick. Maybe it'll perk up your ears too. Yes. He said, when asked about his current faction, if there was anybody else he was thinking about having join it, he said, and I quote, "There is somebody out there that is very close to me that would make a great addition." Huh. How did,
For longtime listeners of the show, you guys might remember that I speculated that they were going for a top card wrestler, an upper mid card wrestler, a tag team, and the only thing really missing from that was a female superstar. And I went, Becky Lynch. And you guys all thought I was crazy.
I still think you're crazy.
Okay, fair enough.
She's out having a kid. How
that doesn't mean she can't have a Zelina Vega kind of role and be ringside. So, or at least come out to the top of the ramp or cut promos or anything like that, right?
She's going to be out at least until December, and then let's say at the minimum 6 months after that. Let's say at the absolute minimum 3 to 4 months after that. That's a long time that they've got to run this and keep this consistent. I mean, yes, you do
just in time for Mania.
Fair. Okay, great. Fair enough. But I think that's pie in the sky. You know who I was actually thinking might be a little bit more realistic, and it's still tinfoil hat booking. Roman Reigns.
No.
So
really,
he's a guy who's had kind of the weight of the company taken off of his shoulders a little bit. They're they're pulling him back. They've now put that mantle on Drew McIntyre. He's the guy now. Reigns has been out. They've erased a lot of discussion about him. They don't talk about Roman, don't show him anymore, which leads me to believe they're repackaging him, or they could potentially repackage him, and he comes out as the strong guy in Seth's faction, and you get like a kind of a new semi-Shield look thing. You've already got Austin Theory, Angel Garza, Austin Theory and Murphy. Now that Angel Garza and Andrade have gone their own way away from Austin Theory, but you've also got AOP on the sidelines. They're out for another, I think, 7 months. Roman's just had twins. He should be back by the end of summer, I would imagine. Have him come out at SummerSlam, turn heel. Imagine.
I look at Roman the same way I look at John Cena. I'll just being completely honest. They never would bite the bullet on turning Cena heel once he reached that certain level. Beyond the Doctor of Thugonomics and 5 years beyond removed from that, they wouldn't even think about turning him heel. He's the only one that speculated on it, and I feel the same way about Roman. I don't know if it would be the right move. You get one shot at that. Look at what happened to Bayley, right?
What were we just saying about
one shot at that?
Playing your cards right. So yes, that led to a lot of speculation. We're doing it right now. Obviously, everyone heard that and went, "Who's close to Seth? Who could fit into this faction?"
Right.
So yes, percolate as you will. But I thought that was definitely something that raised my eyebrows. Especially a couple more little news bits here. Dark Side of the Ring, the awesome documentary series on Vice, is now officially the best performing TV series in Vice TV history.
Wow.
The show as a whole, the series as a whole, has averaged about 423,000 viewers, is according to Variety, with about 242,000 in the 18 to 49 demographic. But the highest rated episode was the Owen Hart finale of season 2. Yeah. That brought in 626,000 viewers, according to Nielsen ratings. That is up there with the kind of ratings that AEW and NXT have been making week to week.
Wow.
That's enormous. They did.
So what you're saying is there's still interest in finding out what really happened in that story.
Yes, exactly. People are still interested in the behind the scenes story. Shockingly enough. That. Yeah. So obviously it has been renewed for a third season, and now you can see why, because it's making insane numbers relatively for that channel. I was trying to see if I can find out what the regular. No, I don't have it, unfortunately, here. I was going to try and see what the average ratings were for Vice TV. I don't unfortunately have that to me right here, but at the same rate, that's just huge for cable just in general. So
no kidding.
Nice, and I cannot wait to see what they come up with next on their next season when that comes back. And just a couple little notes on our way out of here, Nick. 19 years ago today. If I can be serious for a minute, I got to tell you about Lance Storm coming out of the crowd, super kicking Perry Saturn in the face, and it's simultaneously kicking off the Invasion angle, one of the most controversial angles in wrestling history, and the one I said was probably the biggest bungles in wrestling history. And also today, we mentioned him earlier, but happy birthday to the architect himself, to the Monday Night Messiah. Seth Rollins is turning 34 today. Happy birthday, sir. Congratulations and good luck to you and Becky. And that, Nick, is the news for the day.
Happy birthday, Seth Rollins, and everyone else that happens to have a birthday today. Thank you, and happy birthday. Thank you guys for tuning in for BWO Daily. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel down below. You can find links to all of our other Facebook groups and Discord community. And don't forget to check out our live streams that we do every Tuesday and Saturday on our big shows reviewing Raw, AEW, NXT, and SmackDown throughout the week, as well as dedicated shows for pay-per-view recaps. So make sure you're subscribed and got your notifications turned on right here on YouTube, and subscribe to the podcast anywhere podcasts can be found. But my name is Nick Howell. You can find me on Twitter at DataCenterDude.
And I am Sir Ian Dangerous. You can find me on Twitter at Sir Ian Dangerous.
And we will see you guys next time.